Recording in progress.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the MIE Town Hall 2023-2024 final session. My name is Nurziana Zainal Abidin and I will be your MC for today. Before we start the session, I have a few announcements to make. The organizer has set the attendee's microphone as muted and disabled the attendee's webcam sharing function during the town hall. Video or audio recording of the town hall is not allowed. You may submit your question to the panelists and vote for questions submitted by other attendees at www.pigeonhole.at by entering the passcode MIAPH3. Participants will be awarded 2 CPE credit hours upon strict compliance of the following terms. Participants must remain logged in and attend the session from the beginning till the end. And participants must complete and submit the feedback form via the SurveyMonkey platform within 3 days of the session. Late submission of the feedback form will not be entertained. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome everyone once again. A special welcome to the President of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Zabidi Ahmad. We are also pleased to have with us today MIA Vice President and Chairman of the Small Medium Practice Committee, Puan Saniza Said, and the representative of the PAIB Committee, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Zaitun Muhammad Hassan, and the representative of the Public Practice Committee, Encik Wan Idris Wan Ibrahim. Joining us today from the MIA management are Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Rizwan Abdullah, Executive Director, Surveillance and Enforcement, Mr. Simon Tay, Executive Director, Professional Practices and Technical, and Puan Rasmini Ramli, Executive Director, Sustainability, Digital Economy and Reporting Division. Let us begin today's town hall by having Yang Berbahagia Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Zabidi Ahmad, the President of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants, to give his welcoming remarks. Datuk Seri, please proceed. Datuk Seri.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Datuk.
Hello. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, MC. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Council member, Regional Chairman, MIA members, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and a warm welcome to all members. Thank you all for joining us. I am delighted to address you this morning in my capacity as a MIA President. This third and the final town hall session for the financial year end 2023-2024 will focus on professional practice and technical. This is a top priority for the profession to ensure that we remain aligned with global standards and professional practice for future relevance. We also prioritize compliance with the latest standard issued by the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants, or IESBA, to encourage excellence in ethical and professional conduct among our close to 40,000 members in the public interest. In a short while, we will hear from Mr. Simon Tay, our Executive Director, Professional Practice and Technical, who will be present on the division initiative and achievement. Highlights includes creating awareness and preparing members for sustainability reporting. The recent webinar on decoding the TCFD reporting framework attracted over 300 members and shared valuable insight into recommendation of the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosure, or TCFD, and common issue related to climate reporting. Organizing an ethic webinar and quiz for members recently to promote a commitment to ethical and ensure ongoing awareness among MIA members on the importance of ethics. Organizing an awareness briefing on the CGC Digital IMSME platform, Accounting firms are instrumental in serving the business needs of SMEs through the provision of a range of professional services. Therefore, members must know more about the IMSMEs, which is a one-stop financial ecosystem and digital financing platform established specifically to support the financial needs of micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs, MSMEs. Recently, we also worked together with Bank Negara Malaysia on the revised policy document for anti-money laundering and countering of financing terrorism. The webinar highlighted key changes within the policy document and provided clarity on implementation for good governance. Thereafter, we will have the dialogue session moderated by Puan Rashmini Ramli, our Executive Director, Sustainability, Digital Economy and Reporting, and featuring myself, Puan Saniza Said, MIA Vice President and Chairperson of Small and Medium Practice Committee, Encik Wan Idris Wan Ibrahim, Member of the Public Practice Committee, Datuk Zaitun Muhammad Hassan, Member of the Professional Accountant in Business Committee, Datuk Muhammad Ridwan Abdullah, our Executive Director, Civilian and Enforcement, and Mr. Simon Tate. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, today Town Hall is an opportunity for the Institute to update our members on our works to develop and regulate the accountancy profession for future relevance. The following are some key highlights of our achievement. In 2023, we collaborated with stakeholders, including global bodies such as the International Federation of Accountants and the Asian Federation of Accountants on key initiatives, including updating members on international standards and best practice to meet market expectations. Some of the key areas of strategic collaboration are anti-corruption and money laundering, ESG and sustainability reporting, Islamic finance for sustainability and Sharia assurance, digital transformation, taxation, professional standard, ethics and good governance, audit quality and practice management. We continue to work on the repeal of the Accountancy Act to strengthen regulation. The repeal of the Acts will also be a game changer in diversifying and attracting our new talents. Under the present Acts, only one membership level is recognized, which is Chartered Accountant. The new Act will allow for the introduction of 3 new membership levels, including accounting technician based on different professional requirements. For each level of competency framework is linked to the IFAC International Education Standard or IES. To learn more about new regulation, please visit the MIA website. Strategic collaboration are the key factor in the success of MIA Professional Development Program, as well as in driving our advocacy for digital transformation, sustainability, and good governance for future relevance. Recently, we organized the MIA Accounting and Financial Technology Showcase 2024 or MIA AFT 2024, a one-day, one-stop showcase for transformative tech solutions, specially geared to accountancy and finance professionals. We also successfully organized the Inaugural Digital Technology Adoption Award or DTEA presentation to recognize and inspire digital adoption excellence by the accountancy profession. Next on calendar, in the flagship MIA International Accountant Conference 2024, which will take place on 11 to 12 June 2024 at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre, with the theme of Navigating New Frontier, Embracing Sustainability. Powered by strategic collaboration, the MIA Conference 2024 will bring together numerous partners, sponsors, speakers, and delegates to explore the frontiers of business and the profession. I am pleased to announce that Minister of Finance 2, YB Senator Datuk Sri Amir Hamzah Azizan, will be delivering the keynote address as well as officiating the MIA Conference 2024. The IFAC President, Mrs. Asma Resmuki, will also be in Kuala Lumpur to deliver a special address on sustainability and the global profession. Ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the highlights of the Institute works and engagement with our stakeholders. Going forward, talent will be critical to achieving our agenda successfully. In addition to strengthening our talent, we will continue to widen the composition of the MIA Council and committees or leadership to ensure diversity and inclusivity. I am pleased to share that the MIA committees are playing a larger role in overseeing, guiding, and driving the Institute initiative. Thank you very much for your contribution. Finally, I would like to thank all our members for your continuing support and commitment to MIA and profession. We encourage members to subscribe to our social media channels to be updated on our latest developments and initiatives by MIA. MIA will also enhance our engagement with members to appreciate your issues and challenges. We are also looking forward to hearing your feedback in this town hall, which will be taken into consideration for the benefit of members and our stakeholders. On this note, don't forget to use the MIA Lifestyle Privilege exclusive to members to enhance your well-being, especially during this upcoming school holiday. Have a productive town hall today. Thank you very much. Back to the MC.
Thank you, Datuk Sri, for the welcoming remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, MIA has offered an initiative to support members' emotional, physical, and workplace well-being via the MIA Members Assistance Program, MMAP, to give members an insight of the assistance, such as MIA Careline and other available tools and support for members' well-being. Ms. Jahira Harjono, a representative from Naluri Hidup, our appointed service provider, will give a short briefing on this. Over to you, Ms. Jahira.
Hi, Nurziana. Thank you so much for the introduction, and hello, everyone at MIA. I am sharing my screen at the moment. If you could direct your attention to my slides and let me know if my screen is clear for you. If someone could give me a verbal confirmation. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so thank you, Nurziana, again for the introduction. On behalf of the client strategy team at Naluri, thank you so much for having us at your town hall again to share about your wellness benefits as MIA members. We are very excited to meet you over this call to talk a bit more about the services that could help you with your health and wellness needs this year. First and foremost, Naluri is not like any other assistance programs that you might be accustomed to in most companies. So we are mostly digital first, and we are available on the Naluri mobile app and desktop app. So Naluri was designed to make it very convenient for you to switch between devices. So whether on app or both app and desktop web, your health profiles, your private chats with your multidisciplinary coaches, and all your activities will be in sync. So this makes it seamless for you to pick up where you left off anytime and anywhere. There is a QR code that I included here where you can scan and sign up for a Naluri account if you don't have one already. So if you would like this account, please scan and sign up with the code MIAMH so that all the access to the features and services are complimentary and free for you. So with Naluri, you can seek one-on-one, private, and confidential support. We have counseling and coaching services where you can get free sessions with your coaches who are specialized in many disciplines. So we have mental health, diet and nutrition, fitness, career and executive coaching, and more. So privacy at Naluri is very, very important. All your sessions are private and confidential. So only you and your assigned coach will be privy to the information and all the context that you share in these sessions. Your employer or even MIA will not have any visibility of what you talk about in these sessions. Right? To try out this service for free, make sure that you use the code MIAMH as stated in this slide over here. We do have more immediate support available for you as well. So Naluri provides care line and text line that are available 24/7. So on the other line, if you need urgent help during or after your work hours, all our certified counselors are always here to help you. Right? Feel free to call this number over here. Or if you prefer texting, you can also WhatsApp Naluri for help. So before I forget, your care line is also available in multiple languages, right? So if you do not prefer the default English speaker on the other line, you can also request for Bahasa Malaysia, for Mandarin, and Cantonese, right? And the counselor on the other line will help you set up another call in your preferred language when you need to. So all the information that we shared just now is not something you need to memorize a screenshot. It's okay because we have a one-stop wellness portal available for you already, right? All you need to do is visit miamap.naluri.net, right? And this wellness portal acts as a central resource hub for you, right? You will get access to all the program information, all the educational resources that are free, like our articles, videos, and you also get self-help assessment tools. And these are all available in one platform. You can also find the care line. You can also book remote consultation sessions. You can also sign up for digital coaching, for the digital coaching app all in one place. Okay. I know that was very quick and swift, but before I hand it over back to the MC, for those of you who do not have a Naluri account yet, you can scan this QR code to register. Follow the steps in the webpage and you'll have a Naluri account in no time. You can also do this on your desktop or laptop by going to the URL to the link stated here. Right? So that's all I have to share with you today. Thank you so much for your time. The Naluri team looks forward to servicing you by diving deeper into your wellness journey this year. Thank you so much. Have a great day and over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Jahira. Let us now proceed with our next agenda item, which is the updates from the Professional Practices and Technical Division. The updates will be presented by Mr. Simon Tay, Executive Director, Professional Practices and Technical Division of MIE. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for Mr. Simon on the updates, please submit your questions at www.pigeonhole.at by entering the passcode MIATH3. Now, let us invite Mr. Simon for his presentation. Mr. Simon, you may proceed now.
Thank you, Norziana. Hi, good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be able to engage you through my presentation this morning. And also, I would like to allude to what our President, Dr. Sri, has mentioned just now. To set the scene in terms of our focus on professional practices and technical this morning. So I have, let me just open my slide up. Quite a large scope of agenda items to discuss But I suppose if you have been following my presentation in past briefings, you would have, you would already have some idea of some of these topics I'm sharing, because it's actually a build-up of what we have done over the past years, and especially there will be some updates relating to some niche areas that we are covering. For example, Islamic finance, we have that today. Right. So basically, as usual, I will touch on some changes to ISAs, ISQM, MIA bylaws, and also advancements in corporate reporting. We touched on it quite a lot in past town halls. So this time, we will just share with you some of the general direction. And also in terms of strategic paper on strengthening the public practice sector and small medium practices, this has been discussed at the council level, and we find that it is also timely to share with you the progress and also the direction that we are on our initiatives relating to this area. We will have some updates on econfirm.my, our basically the first industry-wide bank confirmation platform in the world, right? So this is something that we have really achieved certain milestones in terms of our work on this platform. We will share on that, and updates on audit exemption. I'm sure everybody wants to know generally. This is a hot topic in town, and SSM is still deliberating in terms of the next steps. We will share some of the points that we have gathered within the institute and also shared back to SSM. So for AMLA and the AMLA, the changes in AMLA requirements, I will briefly touch on that at the 6th agenda item, and then also finally end with some discussion on our Islamic finance initiatives. So for ISAs, probably a period of time for quality management. Yes, as we know that it has already been some time since the standard came into force. But we still understand that there are challenges by the SMPs, especially in terms of complying with this standard, and we will continue to engage SMPs in this particular area. Do look up at our website on some updates that are in relation to quality management. For ISA 600, we have an upcoming webinar, so I won't touch in detail on this. But bear in mind that this is going to be enforced for the December year ends for this year. Right, so as part of the planning, especially for the December year ends, there needs to be some work done in this area in the upcoming months. So for ISAs, for audit of financial statements of less complex entities, or we call it ISA for LCE, there will be some updates. Basically, the standard has been issued. And now the question is whether we're going to be adopting this standard in Malaysia. So we are doing several jurisdictions, engagements with other jurisdictions to see, in terms of their plans relating to this. So already there are some actions, and we are the Auditing and Assurance Standards Board are also discussing and also engaging, planning to engage the SMPs relating to whether we are going to adopt this particular standard. So the proposed ISA 240, recently there was an exposure draft and it deals with fraud. So we've dealt with some, recently we have touched on going concern, and then the most recent exposure draft is related to fraud. And as we speak, we are still in the process of finalizing and drafting our comments relating to this ED. For ISA, ISSA 5000, which is the International Standard on Sustainability Assurance, which has gained quite a lot of attention, especially among the firms, assurance firms. We had a very robust discussion on this particular standard, very huge standard. And so I will touch on a little bit on this as I do my presentation. Okay, so a dedicated slide on quality management. Hopefully everybody is aware of this slide by now. So please do look up for any updates relating to this. And also, progressively, you can also look at AWSB website to look at some resources that they have on their website. Okay, for ISA 600, bear in mind that the definitions of group audits there are some changes to it. We did come up with an EAT article on group audits to have a look at that. And also in terms of identification of component auditors and what needs to be done through planning and the two-way communication between group auditors and component auditors. A lot of best practice that are being done by the larger firms have been also incorporated into the standards, and also you find that there are a lot of enhancements relating to professional skepticism, right? And in planning and performing the group audits. And this is going to be effective for audits of group financial statements for periods beginning on or after 15 December 2023. So effectively, it's going to be this year, right? So the December year ends for this year will be the first, audits where you have to apply this particular standard. For ISA 240, what have driven this, I suppose, it's common knowledge that there have been cases around the world where there are debacles, there are fraud that has been discovered in even very reputable or known famous companies, right? So as a result, over the past few years, this standard has been developed, and basically it clarifies the auditor's responsibility relating to fraud. There's an emphasis on professional skepticism, as in every standard of the ISAs in recent times, you've signed that this is an increased emphasis. Of course, there is a strengthening of linking the risks and material misstatement. So generally, I think the larger firms, they tend to differentiate their audits in terms of working with comparing the risks and the material misstatement and the work that's being done for that, versus, like, say, for example, maybe the small firms, the SMPs, where generally, there could be a risk that the work procedures does not differentiate between the risk of the fraud. So generally, there could be a situation where you are not doing more work where there's a higher risk of fraud, but you're just doing all the very standard audit procedure relating to fraud. So there is an enhancement there in terms of assessment of the risk of material misstatement, and also in terms of fraud or suspected fraud. What about suspected fraud, right? So in such circumstances, there is also clarification in terms of the work to be done. And of course, ongoing communication between the auditor and the management, and of course, those charged with governance relating to this particular area of fraud. And if you look at the auditor's responsibilities and fraud-related procedures, there are some enhancement in the auditor's report. Last but not least, of course, there is the enhanced documentation requirements about fraud-related procedures. So they should be differentiated between where if you have a higher risk of fraud and then your additional work that is being done, or where there is uncertainty or suspected fraud. So there should be there should be some documentation relating to that. And also in relation to the thought process or the decisions, the audit procedures that are being done, that should be also documented. One important thing as we navigate this particular ISAR is that when it is important, especially when we're working with our working group and also with the auditing board members, is that the responsibility on the fraud in relation to this particular related area is actually still rest on the management. So it is the responsibility of the reporting entity and the internal control that they have to actually address this particular matter. And the auditors are only coming to audit. So the auditors are not playing the role of what you call a bloodhound, right? But they are playing the role as a watchdog. So now the question is, how with the enhanced procedures in ISA 240 can the auditor be a better watchdog? Perhaps that is at the end of the day what we want to achieve as we go through and come up with our comment letters relating to this particular standard. So we will be sending our comment letter in due course. Another area that has come to the fore is the international sustainability assurance. As you know, that sustainability reporting has been greatly emphasized, and there are new disclosure requirements coming, be it the enhanced disclosures by Bursa, the Bursa listing requirements, and also, of course, impending changes arising from IFRS S1 and S2. Right. So with the International Assurance Standard, there was a move to come up with standards that are going to be, firstly, framework neutral. So it doesn't matter which framework that you apply relating to sustainability reporting of sustainability disclosures, then you can still apply this particular standard. And secondly, it also aspires to be professional agnostic. That means it doesn't matter which profession. Of course, accountancy profession, people will be involved, but there are also others like non-accountants who would like to play in this field, to work in this field because of the expertise that they have. Then they can also apply this particular standard. So there are a lot of, and this is already the exposure draft period has already ended. So now it is the intention of the IAASB to come up with the final version of the standard by the last quarter of this year. So it's very ambitious because they have received a lot of recommendations and discussion. And generally, there's alignment on some of the top areas of emphasis in this particular standard. So in our comments to the IAASB, some concerns came about, like, for example, the requirement for those who are not in the accountancy profession to apply the ethics requirements and also the quality management standards, right? Which is then, so if they mention that they are having, they assert that they have complied with standards at least as demanding as our ethics standards and also the quality management standards, then who is going to ensure that? Who is going to do surveillance on that? So this is an area that remains a concern and that has been communicated to the standard setter. That's one. Second area on materiality, which is when you venture into sustainability information, it's not as something that's established as the audit of financial statements. There are many years of doing auditing of financial statements, and some consideration of materiality is quite already a set and quite well established in terms of what materiality means in an audit of financial statements. But in terms of materiality over sustainability information, this is an area that is growing, and there's also the concept of double materiality. All these complicated considerations of materiality, right? So it's an area also that we emphasize. And also the consideration where you have a group situation, you have many different entities being involved in providing the sustainability information. Then there is also the consideration of, how do you make sure that the information that is used in the overall sustainability reporting would be reliable or complete, for example. So then what are the additional procedures that the assurance providers need to do? Because some of these disclosures come from, value chain entities that are not part of the group reporting by the reporting entity. So, for example, let's say you go with scope 3 emissions, then you're going to be dealing with value chain entities that are not part of the group of the reporting entity. So there are some practical challenges where the sustainability assurance provider would face when dealing with such disclosures. So some of these comments we have put in together in our comment letter to the IAASB. So if looking at what's coming in the IAASB work plan, so I bear in mind that my listeners, those who participate in this webinar, some are PIBs and some are practitioners. I think we have about 50%, in terms of composition. So if you are a practitioner and you're involved in audit, so that this is definitely directly affecting you. But if not, if you're also at the professional accounting business, then this is also very helpful for you to know what your auditors or what assurance providers are going to go through and what are potentially some of the questions that they will be engaging you as the auditee in their work. Okay, so ISA 600 I mentioned earlier already, that is going to be effective for the 2024 year ends. So December 24 year ends. So this is coming. And listed entity, public interest entity, this track 1 on the disclosures in the audit report. That will be for periods beginning on or after 15 December 2024, which is next year, 2025. Okay. Or the audits of less complex entities at the global front. This has been issued in December 23. So it is going to be effective for periods beginning on or after 15 December 2025. So it's going to be 2026 year audit with early adoption being allowed. Okay. But of course, whether we're going to bring it into Malaysia, this is something that we will be discussing, because generally there is also another view that says that since the ISAs are scalable, supposed to be scalable, why do we still need another set of standards? Right. So, but of course, SMPs feels that, everything is all in one standard. There are some views that, it is good to just focus on one standard. So ISA 500, recently there was an exposure draft and the comments period is closed. There was actually last year already sometime. And but because there were a lot of feedback relating to, focusing on technology and internal controls, there is a need to enhance this particular standard. So revised exposure draft is expected to be issued in 2025. So here you can see that the standard setter takes into account a lot from the comments of the public and of those interested stakeholders. Because through such comments, they actually decided not to issue it, but to actually improve on it and come up with a revised exposure draft. So we find that the public feedback and the rigor that comes into drafting a particular standard is very important. Right. So as you can see in the case of ISA 500. So for ISA 570 going concern, as I mentioned earlier, the comment period recently closed August 2023. I say recently, but it feels like it's quite, just not too long ago we discussed on this. But the final document is expected to be issued end of this year. So ISSA 5000, I mentioned it already. The final document is expected to be issued in September. Initially, I thought that it's going to be end of the year, but they have also tried to speed up this process. Okay, and the track 2, this description of the objectives and guidelines, definitions of public interest entity, and the impact on the auditing and assurance standards. The comments period has already closed on 8 April 2024, and the final document is expected to be issued in December. So ISA 240, I mentioned just now, I touched on that again. The final document is expected to be issued in March 2024. Okay, here I want to touch on the matter of AAPG1. Recently, we issued this particular authoritative guidance for auditors. So revision 1 and revision 2 is something that is already in force. So those that have done the December audits, it's now already May. So you would expect that you would already comply with this revision 1 and 2. But just a reminder that for example, revision 1, the disclosures in the basis for opinion section, because when we developed the guidance on APG1, we wanted to emphasize the new requirements, the emphasis on independence and other ethical requirements. So it was put in as a subsection within the basis for opinion section. So as a result, it should be actually put in italics and not put in non-italics, because it may imply that it is a separate section from the basis for opinion section. So in order to be completely aligned with paragraph 28, we have decided to make sure that this subheading is put in italics to make it very clear that it forms part of the basis for opinion section. Revision 2 actually is relating to the changes in MFRS 101. As you know, that material accounting policy information is now required to be disclosed instead of significant accounting policies. So that change has been reflected in the audit report. For revision 3, this is upcoming, which is relating to the ISA 600, right, for the December year-end this year. So there is a change in the auditor's responsibility paragraph. So just go and have a look at it. Go and look at APG 1 and you'll find that there is a paragraph. The last paragraph actually has been changed. And you can also look at the track change version to see what has changed. Revision 4 is, if you paid attention earlier on, there are revisions relating to the public interest entity definition. And as a result, which I will also touch later on the ethics code, then the audit report will need to disclose that the firm has applied the independence requirements for public interest entities. So this is going to be for next year's audit. So it's 2025. Okay, so these are the revisions for under AAPG 1. Okay, now we go on to the ethics code. So on ethics, there are the first three rows are not something new. It's already being enforced. Just a reminder that the code addresses the objectivity of the engagement quality reviewer and other appropriate reviewers, revisions on non-assurance services, and also the fee-related provisions. Next is the revisions of the definition of listed entity and public interest entity in the code. So this is going to be effective 15 December 2024. So it's going to be for next year's audit. Okay. The revisions to the code relating to the definition of engagement teams and group audits. As you can see that this is going to be aligned with the group audits ISA 600. The coming to force of ISA 600. So the financial period, the application period is the same as the audit requirements. Okay, then of course we have the technology related revisions to the code, where it's going to be applicable for financial statements for periods beginning on or after 15 December 2024 for independence requirements, because there are cases where the auditor is also doing some technology services, technology related services, and so there could be some issues related to independence, which may need to be resolved before this time and the standard comes into force. So bear in mind that there could be some implications relating to this. And for other areas, be it whether you are actually using technology, or you could be a PIB, or you could be a professional accountant in public practice, the other provisions which are non-independence required are requirements related, then the effective date is 15 December 2024, end of this year. So next year, starting from next year, from 15 December onwards, you need to also apply the technology related provisions. So the definitions of listed entity, public interest entity, which is going to be effective for periods beginning on or after 15 December 2024, right? So this will be next year's audit. So the definition, firstly, is that you need to read up on this definition because it affects the category of public traded entities. Previously, they are listed entities. So generally, if you're a listed entity, you are also a publicly traded entity, but there are also implications on some other entities. Okay, and also generally, the general principle is that for public traded entities or the PIEs, of course, public traded entities definitely take into account because there are public money being involved. But generally, they also scoped in primarily those like deposit taking from the public. Of course, insurance providers will be one of them. And then also, there are certain entities could be designated as PIE by legal, regulatory, or professional standards. This is a very, very broad scope, right? Which could be defined. It could be legal, it could be regulations, or it could be professional bodies coming up with professional standards. And also bear in mind that the latest changes also encourages firms to determine if other entities, that means not within the standard definition, but it could be also treated as PIEs by assessing some factors such as the entity's importance to the sector it operates in, potential systemic impact on other sectors and economy as a whole in the event of financial failure. So one consideration would be on the financial well-being of the entity. If the entity goes down, what is the implication to the nation, to the economy, or to the sector it operates? If it's so significant, it is right that then it will also meet the definition. It will be treated as a PIE, right? So this change in the definition will be very significant because if previously an entity is not treated as a PIE and is now, because of this change, is now treated as a PIE, then there will be a lot of considerations such as partner rotation and then the more stringent requirements of application of the independence requirements. All right, so bear this in mind that it's coming and it's going to affect audits for the next year. Okay, on the engagement team and group audits, I won't touch so much on this because these are very much more aligned to the audit standards, right? So audit standards have changed the definition of engagement team, group audits, and all that, right? The requirements of ISO 600. This is where the code is aligned, matched with the auditing requirements. But one thing to take note is that there's more explicit requirements when it comes to situations where you have component auditors breaching some of the independence requirements. Then what will be the consideration that needs to be done at the group level, especially at the group engagement level, right? So there are some guidance related to that in the code. Okay, the technology-related revisions is basically to strengthen the code in guiding the mindset and behavior of professional accountants when they use technology. So using technology is very important to be able to gain new insights into data and also maybe make the work more efficient and be able to target on certain areas. But there is also a need to be careful and to be mindful of certain bias. So just because something is generated by technology, it doesn't make it more reliable. So there needs to be consideration of what comes in, what's the process that comes in before that you can actually use the information that's generated by technology. And then also in terms of the principles of confidentiality, professional competence, due care, when you use the technology, especially when you use with circumstances of complexity. So if the technology is very complex, then what considerations need to happen before it is being used. So a lot of all these considerations need to come in when you address technology. Also, there is a strengthening and the clarification on the international independence standards relating to technology-related services, because especially when it is provided by the auditor, right? So when it is a non-assurance service to an audit or assurance client. So there are additional requirements and considerations related to that. Of course, another area that is interesting that has been discussed is the strengthening the ethical behavior in tax planning, and the tax planning provisions of the code has just recently been finalized. So the Secretariat and we're working with the board, the Ethics Standards Board, in coming up with to identify what we have commented and how the standard has been finalized, and we will definitely be engaging the members relating to some of the new pronouncements. And basically, generally, when it was in the exposure draft stage, what was the direction of these the changes in tax planning? But there was a lot of concerns that there are a lot of tax scandals around the world that has led to the questioning of when professional services is granted, is given to an entity, and where there's conflict between public interest and the benefits of to the entity that is the services being rendered, and challenges, questions where there are uncertainties or complexities in the tax framework. So how do professional accountants deal with that, right? So, and some solutions you can find in the enhanced provision is to put ethics at the heart of tax planning advice, and then also addressing tax planning, to align it with public interest, and dealing with areas where there are some complexities and uncertainties. For example, let's say there are difference in views by the regulators, for example, the tax regulators, may give rise to certain situations where you may not have a credible basis for tax planning. So the keyword credible basis is actually in this, some of the revisions to the code relating to that, right? So in order to give tax planning advice, there must be a credible basis. So to read more of that, we will come up with an updated, finalized version of the standard, and then members can have a look at some of these changes. Of course, we will be engaging members on this too. All right, and of course, at the same time, at the work of this, the enhancements to the standard is eventually to foster trust in the tax systems. Bear in mind that this is not only for the professional accountant in public practice, but also those who are involved in coming up with tax planning in among PIs. For ISBA work plan, as we have touched on the PIE work, this is going to be effective from 15 December 2024 onwards, so that's for the next year end. Okay, this is provision to the code relating to definition of engagement team and group audits aligned with the ISA 600 technology-related revisions. I touched on that on the effective date also, and tax planning and related services. So which is what for the previous slide, that it's going to be effective for tax planning activities or services beginning after 30 June 2024. Okay. The proposed international ethics standards for sustainability assurance, including independence. So this is actually a new standard which we recently came up with. We just very recently submitted our comments. So as we speak, right, the requirement of coming up with when you do sustainability assurance. What about non-accountants? If they apply ethics code, we say that they apply an ethics code, but how do we know that an ethics code is at least as demanding as the ISBA code? So therefore, there was a mandate, and it was supported by the regulators group, like ISCO, regulators group, to come for ISBA to take the lead to come up with an ethics code that's going to be used by non-accountants. So the first question is that if you're a non-accountant, why would you want to use a code that is developed by accountants, right? So of course, firstly is that there is a backing by regulators, all right? Regulators backing is very, very crucial. If the regulators do not back that up, then you're going to have a lot of pushbacks. So the regulators is backing it. Secondly is then because the ethics code by the accountants, to accountants, has been established for many years, decades, and it has been working. Right, so it is probably looking at all these codes with the perhaps most comprehensive, and also gone through the test of time, right, and with sufficient rigor in coming out with the code, right. So therefore, that's why that this code is developed, and at the same time, there is a use of work of an external expert. This has come to the fore because in sustainability information, especially, you're relying more and more on people that are non-accountants, and there are external experts that are being pulled in to work on some of the disclosures, right? Or it could be to support the assurance work. So the exposure draft has also the period to comment has already ended, and then the final document is expected to be approved in Q4 2024, right? The last quarter. So this standard on sustainability, just now we touched on the assurance standard. Now we touch on the sustainability side of it, right? Similarly, it is to deal with professions, right? It should be it's profession agnostic, and so basically doesn't matter which and which profession you are in. If you want to do sustainability work, you can still apply the standard, ethics standard, right? So how do they carve out? So the question is how they carve out. So it's not like okay, so I'm not an accountant. I come to the ethics code and then I just apply it, right? So what the ISBA has done is to make it easy for this group of non-accountants to come in. So they create a part 5 in the code, right? So part 5, so you have, as you know, there are already 4 parts. Now you create a part 5 that deals with sustainability assurance. So you can just read part 5 alone, stand alone by itself. Right. Of course, when you go through this, there are some requirements that they say, oh, you are encouraged for a non-accountant to encourage to read the other parts of it. So we also did comment on the practicality of those standards, and also where there's various situations that could happen when the accountants, when non-accountants are involved in sustainability assurance. So we came out with quite a lot of detailed comments on that. So you can look at our comments. It's our website. You can also go to the ISBA website to see MIA's comments there, right? So I won't touch very a lot on this because this is a very broad topic and a lot of areas that we have to be addressed in dealing with the ethics related requirements. And some of the points that we mentioned is that, for example, a lot of the concepts of auditing financial statements, the ethics requirements relating to audit financial statements is put into sustainability assurance, and this is going to apply to non-accountants. So some of the concepts relating to auditing, which may not be familiar with non-accountants, so there's a lot of education, there's a lot of considerations to be done in terms of making sure that they can be up to speed with that. And also the partner rotation requirements is something that some of these firms may not be used to having, right, as compared to the auditors, right? And the other particular area, of course, is quality management, right? How would quality management be done by non-accountants? Where where we compare that, for example, ISQM, there's a lot of work, a lot of investments being done to comply with ISQM. How is this going to be done for non-accountants? So a lot of these questions are being discussed and addressed, and we have also written back to the ISBA on some of these concepts. Okay, so now I'm going to be covering the rest of my presentation. Hopefully, I need to speed up because we also look forward to engage you during the Q&A. Right. So the upcoming amendments to MIA bylaws to address the inconsistency between non-assurance services provisions on accounting and bookkeeping services and the audit license conditions. So if you look at the background under the code, the ethics code, it does gives you some latitude to actually for non-PIEs, for the auditor to provide certain kind of accounting or bookkeeping services in limited circumstances where it's a mechanical or a very straightforward work, right? But if you look at the audit license condition, the audit license actually prohibits the holder of the license from providing services related to preparation of accounting records to all audit clients, whether it's PIE or non-PIE, directly or indirect. The word indirectly is actually very wide. So indirectly also it's prohibited. And MI bylaws allow the provision of such service to an audit client that is not a public interest entity on those accounting services that are routine and mechanical, provided threats to independence, if any, have been satisfactorily addressed. So the threats to independence will still need to be addressed where an entity could provide such accounting services. But bearing in mind, because there is already a higher requirement, which is the audit license requirement, so therefore the inconsistency is being addressed by a change in the so basically these are all what is already there in the bylaws, right? And then the syarat, the audit license syarat. Okay, so we brought this up to the Accountant General, and it was decided that the Syarat 5, after consultation with the Jawatan Kuasa Pengawas, they decided that they will still remain, the more stringent requirements of our license will remain. So as a result, the Ethics Standards Board took the view that we need to clarify in our bylaws that in Malaysia, there is still this additional requirement, more stringent requirement as provided in the audit license conditions as set up by the Audit Accountant General's Department of Malaysia. All right, so this makes it very, very clear that an auditor should not provide accounting services or bookkeeping services to their clients, regardless whether they are PIE or non-PIE, as per the audit license. So very quickly, advancement in corporate reporting. Under the Professional Practices and Technical Division, we have committees that are already addressing some of this sustainability agenda, which is one is the PIB committee that deals with the roles of and contribution of the CFOs and finance function in relation to sustainability. The Integrated Reporting Committee deals with sustainability disclosures as part of better corporate and integrated reporting. So that work has already been done, and the Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, of course, will look at the assurance work on sustainability disclosure. So this continue to be the committees that is going to be supporting the agenda of the institute relating to sustainability, and there is a sustainability committee that has been set up to oversee and also to look at all the various initiatives of the institute relating to sustainability. This slide is basically to remind members that the integrated reporting now is housed under the IFRS Foundation. It's gone through a journey for more than 10 years. So previously it was a standalone entity, and then it was merged, and then eventually consolidated now within IFRS Foundation. And why is it significant? Because now it is under IFRS Foundation where the reach of the standard is the widest in the world, and the most people it's being covered by very many jurisdictions because of the accounting standards. And the sustainability standards is also going through the process where it's going to be widely accepted and adopted. And of course, with integrated reporting being housed under IFRS Foundation, it is also then being used as a framework in developing the standard setting, right? As part of the will ground the standard setting work. So the continued relevance of integrated reporting will remain, and in fact, it's going to be much more emphasized. And for example, principles such as connectivity of information, value creation, all will come into the fore when organizations apply, whether it is accounting standards or the sustainability standards. So just a reminder, probably you've seen this slide before. The integrated reporting framework shows a complete picture of how an organization creates value, preserves or erode value over time through its interaction, its use of the 6 capitals: financial, manufactured, intellectual, human, social and relationship, and natural capital, and how this becomes part of inputs in the organization through its business model and having the business activities to transform these inputs into outputs, and then eventually having the outcome, whether it's positive, negative, over the short, medium, or long term, and eventually flows back to the 6 capitals, right? So over time, of course, in a positive situation, the 6 capitals will be enriched and enhanced or preserved over time as the organization operates. And this all works within the environment of the entity, which is looking at the purpose, the mission, vision of the entity, the governance entity that drives the organization towards achieving its purpose, mission, and vision, and then also the identification of risks and opportunities, and then how the strategy would address the risks, realize the opportunities, together with its resource allocation, and coming up with a business model to create value over time, and and thereafter there will be the performance, to looking at the KPIs that's set, the targets that's set by the organization, and how the organization has performed compared to its strategy, its strategic direction, and all the key targets that they have, and also the outlook that the organization has. So this gives a complete picture of the organization, right? Of course, when we go into a little bit more detail of the 6 capitals, then you'll find that a lot of more discussions are being held around dealing with various stakeholders that are addressed by these 6 capitals. And also arising from that, there will be greater integrated thinking in organization, and therefore a lot more thinking about what are the strategies and the actions that is needed in organization to drive value over time. So overall, it is actually better corporate reporting, and also a better way for the organization to monitor and to sail through to carry out its objectives. Okay, and now I want to touch on the strategic paper on strengthening the public practice sector and the small medium practices. So this is very geared towards the very specific area initiative of the institute in enhancing the quality of the public practice in Malaysia. So especially this is done up by the Public Practice Committee and has been approved by the council. So basically, we have strategic trust, and then we have more specifically the goals and then the action plans. Right? The strategic trust. The first one is to elevate audit quality, which is remain a very top priority. And then strategic trust 2 is to create a conducive practicing environment. And the third strategic trust is to develop capacity and capability of SMPs. So to elevate audit quality, the key focus, of course, is to look at some yardstick, which is to reduce type 3 and type 4 firms to below 50% over the long run. So this is an endeavor. And then we have 4 strategic plans we'll touch on later. To create a conducive practicing environment, some of the issues we are aware of course, is the issue of low fees. How do we improve the practicing environment and then allow members to embrace new opportunities? So there are 6 action plans. For capacity, to develop capacity and capability of SMPs over time. So not only you have quality, and then you also have a conducive practice environment, but generally they can move up the value chain and enhance their professional accountancy services. So there are 5 strategic action plans. So the first action plan, the proposed actions, just going more granular, is to look at pre-licensing education. So before they actually become practitioners, leaders in their firms, we are adding leadership content into the PPP workshop and webinar. Also, targeting the quality QAP program for newly licensed company auditors. So basically, it's for them to volunteer themselves to be to target certain new auditors for having license to actually go into the quality assessment program, right? To enhance the quality of the firms right up at the beginning, of their career, right? So increase in the participation rate of the quality assessment program. We will have another slide on this. And then also next area is to develop audit quality indicators and see how we can actually then get a greater group of firms to consider and to apply this audit quality indicators. So for the QAP program, quality assessment program, as I mentioned, we have also done effort with MICPA to reduce the fee from 10,000 to 6,000, and I think most practitioners are aware of this, and the deadline is coming up already, 30th June 2024. So we hope that more firms will use this opportunity to get a discounted fee. All right, and the quality improvement period post QAP is actually will be given a period of 2 years. So within these 2 years, we have an understanding with the MIA practice review that they will not do any practice review within the 24 months after completion of the QAP. So on strategic trust 2, creating a conducive practicing environment. To deal with the low fees, there is, of course, to promote the value of audit, which we will continue to do. And because having the new Accountants Act, we are strengthening provisions on dealing with bogus accountants, enhancing the fines, so that generally, hopefully, would have an impact on, enhancing quality, and then there also address the matter of fees. So jurisdiction studies and articles on sustainability of audit profession is in the pipeline. In improving the practicing environment, we have greater enforcement over directors of companies with qualified auditor reports. So we have engaged SSM on this particular area. Conduct second survey on quality control on financial statements. This is so if your auditees are more have better controls, then very likely that the auditors would have a better experience in working, right, in carrying out the audit. So the other area is to lobby for MI members to sign the statutory declaration regarding the correctness of financial statements under the Companies Act. We continue to engage SSM on this area and also reviewing the audit exemption thresholds. To allow members to embrace new opportunities, the review of ownership rules is an area that we will continue to work on. To build the capacity of SMPs and to enhance the... Yes.
Mr. Simon, this is a reminder that you only have 15 minutes left.
Okay. To build up the capacity of SMPs and enhance the range of value-adding professional accountancy services provided, right? So we have the SMP Learning Roadmap, right? And then also program for former accountants to re-enter the profession. And showcasing good HR practices of firms is also another area that we are coming up with webinars and articles. Consolidation among SMPs, we continue to encourage and facilitate this. We will also having discussions with, on financial assistance and incentives with relevant government agencies. And then also to promote the value of SMPs through webinars and publications. We are revising 2 publications relating to that to help promote the value of SMPs. And eConfirm.my, okay, I need to go very quickly. We have 30 banks already so far. So this with 1,458 audit firms and already reaching 99% of total active companies. But in our records, we still find that the number of confirmations should still be higher than what it is. Because generally we thought that from out of active companies, if all auditors are on board, and all active companies on average, right, you should have at least maybe 1 or 2 banks. The bank confirmation should have reached a certain level, but it's not, right? So the fact that there are gaps indicates that, it's an area that, whether firms are really sending confirmations is another question. And of course, the remaining 1%, we are following up very closely onto why they are not actually coming on the platform, because majority of banks, actually the large banks, for example, like CIMB, Maybank, they have gone completely online already. So why it's very, very likely that most clients would have such accounts in these 2 banks. So the question is, why are they not using the online confirmation? Right. So we're continuing to work on this. Hopefully, it's going to be 100% very soon. We have very positive testimonials by auditors. Turnaround time, of course, very significantly. Some say it's the best thing ever. Where months, some of confirmations take months. Now it's within 2 weeks, right? And then there are comments about it's a great initiative and breaking away from conventional confirmation process. And then also it saves time and also effort along the audit process. And then also improving efficiency and audit process and also audit quality. So we have over the years engaged with key parties. We work with regulators, Bank Negara, Association of Banks, Association of Islamic Banking and Financial Institutions, and we work with Association of Development Finance Institutions of Malaysia, and of course also with IBA. And then of course from auditors, we have pilot auditors, we have pilot banks. We have a project management office set up to work on this together with our vendor, Nextdoor. And also we have within MIA, we have the MIA Bank Confirmation Steering Committee. And then also the service auditor to provide assurance report. Right. So all this needed to happen before we could actually then come up with a platform and continue to provide the governance needed to make sure that the platform is working. Continuing efforts, we are engaging other banks to come in on board, right, and also broaden the scope, so looking to extend to legal confirmations, and then also to enhance the coverage of audit firms. Of course, the remaining 1%. All right, so these are the relevant websites. You can Google and go to MI's website to look at the development. For the exemption, okay, we have gone from advocating for only dormant companies to be exempt, because when it came up at the very beginning, it was very sudden, and there we are saying that firms need time to study, to adjust, to work on it, right? So as a result, from 2013 to 2016, we continued to advocate for dormant companies. So thereafter, SSM came out with the practice directive in 2017, and the threshold was very, very low. Bear in mind that they also took into account MIA's comments. So fast forward, many years have happened. So we cannot continue to say that we need a soft landing, and we're not ready. But and we know that the threshold is going to increase over time. So there is also a discussion that at the institute level, whether what is the view of the institute. So we actually came out with views in the initial consultation in February 2023, and where we touched on the fact that there was a lack of comprehensive impact and assessment done, and also there needs to be consideration of various safeguards that SSM should consider. And then lastly, in 2024, SSM came out with additional consultation relating to audit of the exemption, with, of course, a higher threshold. In a nutshell, I won't go into detail. Probably you will be familiar with this. If you look at the third column, where the SSM consultation in 2nd February 2023, they changed the threshold basically from 100,000 to 1 million initially. And then in the latest consultation, basically they merged from two meeting all three criteria to 2 out of 3. All right, and also from 1 million to 3 million employees, from 5 employees to 30. Right, so similar to the consultation in the previous year. So the reasons they're saying is that there's a lot of entities that are owner managed should be exempt from audit. That's one thought. Capacity of audit firms. So you have 667,000 active companies. You have only 1,919 audit firms. So auditors are not audit firms. So if you divide by them, you can see that it's actually a very significant portion of clients per auditor, which they find that for active companies, it's not something that is feasible. So they raise that. And then secondly, thirdly is on the 3 million, the threshold of 3 million. A lot of feedback to say that if it's too low, entities will not go for the exemption, because at any point in time they may exceed that threshold. And then they mentioned that the entry level for the LD exemption is low compared to other countries like Singapore and Brunei. And then why not let the market force determine whether audit should take place or not in the absence of compulsory audits? So as I'm saying, let the market force decide. Okay, so some observations that we've seen that while the increase in thresholds, the general trend is aligned with some developed nations like Singapore, UK, Australia, but the Malaysian context could be different. So we did get back to SSM on that. And also bear in mind that the appropriateness of audit exemption must be evaluated within the Malaysian context, considering the terms of economic scale, business landscape, and the level of maturity of accounting and financial reporting practices. among small companies. So we highlighted that from other jurisdictions, the increase over the years is not so significant as the one proposed in Malaysia, where the increase was very, very substantial. 2,900% increase for turnover, for balance sheet is 900% increase, and for average employees is 500% increase. So a very stark increase. And we look at other jurisdictions, of course, you will see that generally the threshold for other jurisdictions is generally higher, right, compared to Malaysia. So the other balanced view is that, perhaps it's time to increase. But of course, we did mention the safeguards. We wanted that there should be baseline requirements for finance function, for example, for entities to have MIA qualified people in key finance personnel, and then also suggest alternatives introducing alternatives audits such as review of review engagements to enhance the quality of financial reporting, and then also strengthening the statutory declaration by having MI member being involved in attesting on the accuracy of financial statements. So these are some of the safeguards that we post SSM. There's a case study that we also shared, which is on the Swedish National Audit Office study done as a result of assess the effectiveness of the audit exemption regime. And arising from that, the findings is that it showed that the audit of small entities is valuable to both these entities and public good. So actually, they found that the cost outweighed the benefit they felt. So as a result, they did not change the threshold for Swedish companies. So this is a finding that we felt that SSM should also study and consider. So now with the outlook of NSFPs, we know the audit exemption thresholds increase is going to come. So companies must still uphold proper accounting records. So for SMEs, they still need to make sure that they have the proper controls and discipline to come up with financial statements. And then grant shareholders with at least 5% voting rights the ability to request audited accounts. So voluntary audits for audit exempted SMEs to be required in specific situations. SMEs are encouraged to strengthen their competitive position by advancing up the value chain. So we're going to have more webinars and engagements with SMPs on these areas, where mergers and acquisitions, providing value-added services to SMEs, encompassing accounting, business advisory service, taxation, and review and compilation services. So we find that quite a number of firms are focused very much on audit. So it's perhaps high time to consider diversifying the service offerings and look at some other areas that they can offer services. And we will also engage firms that have done so to share experience and also some potential possible strategies or directions, small steps to be taken to arrive at that. Other areas such as how do you offer review compilation services, invest in technology, network, collaborate, and consolidate. On anti-money laundering, these slides are something that I wouldn't go through in very detail, but it's a reminder that there are 5 gazetted activities. Reminder that Bank Negara has looked at bookkeeping services as part of gazetted activities. So that has been clarified with Bank Negara, because very much when you're dealing with bookkeeping services, very hard to differentiate between, are you really managing accounts? Because there is some element that you need to engage the client to discuss on certain things. So it's quite difficult to say that it is not handling the accounts. So therefore, the Bank Negara has treated it as part of gazetted activities. Right. So hope this clarifies. And also, if you are doing company services, company secretary services, it's part of gazetted activities. All right. And a reminder for the data and compliance report is upcoming in October 2024. This will be required again. We did actually very well 2 years ago. Our compliance rate has increased tremendously, but this is also a reminder for all the firms that you need to prepare upfront, because the window period is only 3 months after, because there are a lot of data that you may need to collate and get ready before you do the submission, right? So, but of course, if you did 2 years ago, probably you already have the hang of it. But and one reminder is that it should be submitted by all firms, not just the firms that are having doing gazetted activities. So if you didn't do gazetted activities, you need to confirm to the negative, right? So that is a requirement for all. So just a reminder that also it is non-compliance with laws and regulations if you do not submit the data compliance report. Okay, so a reminder to practitioners. Islamic, this is the last part. I know I have been chased to, sorry, I have to wrap this up. Okay, Islamic finance initiatives, generally you can see that Islamic finance is on a growth stage, and especially it's projected to continue to grow. Malaysia is among the top 3 countries with Islamic finance assets worth more than 666 billion. Okay, right. So we will see that for leadership, Malaysia is a global leader and hub for Islamic finance. Ranked first in the Islamic Finance Development Indicator 2023, which measures 5 indicators that are the main drivers of development in the industry. In these areas of financial performance, governance, sustainability, knowledge, awareness. So way to go, Malaysia. And so arising from that, we have a lot of initiatives very specific to Islamic finance that's been done over the years. As far back as 2021, we started the Sharia Audit Roundtable discussions with a view of coming up with a Sharia Audit white paper, right? So, and then at that time, we had also webinars with AFA, with the ASEAN side, ASEAN space, where we discussed about Islamic social financing, and sharing sharing experience from Malaysia and Indonesia. And we have the Islamic Finance Pupillage Program, which has been ongoing. 2022, we came out with the Sharia Audit white paper with the consultation and write-up. It took some time to do that. And because of our leadership in Islamic finance, IFAC took the step to collaborate with MIA, coming up with 4 series of articles relating to Islamic finance and also how Islamic finance can enhance the achievement of SDGs. So we continued with the Islamic Finance Pupillage Program in 2022. And then we came up with the first focus group discussion with IFAC on facilitating SDGs with Islamic finance. 2023, we covered the second focus group and we launched the Sharia Audit white paper that year. And of course, we had the first global roundtable with IFAC and the World Bank on facilitating SDGs with Islamic finance. 2024, this year, we are going to have a collaboration on the Global Roundtable report, and we're going to highlight this in the day before the MI conference. And then also we have Sharia Audit Roadmap that is going to be issued with the Sharia Audit Best Practice Guide, touching on the nature of Sharia governance practices, nature and scope of audit and assurance services, and the skill sets for Sharia auditor. And another thing is that the IF Pupillage Program, which has been we have done for a few years, we are revamping it to give it a fresh look and fresh content and to make it attractive, continue to be attractive, right? And of course, we are looking at the revision of our second version of that Accounting for Islamic Finance textbook, especially because of the changes in the insurance requirements, insurance standard requirements. Okay, so you can download this IFRS application of IFRS to Islamic finance on the website. It's available free, and in fact, it is one of the first ever textbook issued on applying IFRS to Islamic finance. White paper on Sharia audit, of course, the members can scan this. The IF Pupillage Program, very quickly, is to attract accountants knowledgeable in Islamic finance, to produce highly industry-trained individuals, and also to come up with high-quality articles in specific areas of Islamic finance. Eligibility, anyone with a relevant knowledge and working experience in Islamic finance. So watch this space where we come up with a new program for enrollment. Okay, for Sharia audit initiatives, we have the white paper already published. Upcoming will be the Sharia Audit Roadmap and the Sharia Audit Best Practice Guides. We continue to collaborate with IFAC, in being acknowledged and recognized as a leader in some finance, and also through our advocacy work of the Islamic Finance Committee. So we have come up with 4 parts article already, and then we have focus group discussions happening, and then we have a roundtable, which we will release a roundtable report soon. We have IF related articles. Do have a read at the slide when the slide will be given to you, so members can have a look at some of these articles. And a reminder also, we have issued previously with CPA Australia a guide to understanding account auditing and assurance for Malaysian listed entities, and also a guide to understanding annual reports in Malaysian listed companies. So these will be useful during this busy AGM period and also in the coming period. That's all I have. Hand it back to the MC, who I'm sure the other panelists are eager to share. Sorry for taking up the time, exceeding a bit of the time.
Thank you, Mr. Simon, for the comprehensive updates. We would like to remind you again that participants will be awarded with 2 CPE credit hours upon strict compliance of the following terms. Participants must remain logged in and attend the session from the beginning till the end. And participants must complete and submit the feedback form by using the SurveyMonkey platform within 3 days of the session. Late submission of the feedback form will not be entertained. We will now have a 5 minutes break, and we will continue with the next agenda at 11:06 a.m. While for the moderator and panelists, we will be having a photo taking session now. May I invite the moderator and all panelists to switch on the webcam for a group photo. Dr. Rizwan. Okay, is everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time. 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you, everyone. We will come back for the next agenda at 11:06 a.m. See you. We will now proceed with the dialogue and Q&A for the town hall session. The session will be moderated by Puan Rasmini Ramli. Before we commence, please be reminded that you may submit your question to the panelists and vote for questions submitted by other attendees at www.pigeonhole.at by entering the passcode MIATH3. Puan Rasmini, I will hand over the session to you now.
Thank you so much, Kian. Good morning and Assalamualaikum, everyone. It is great to be here today to moderate the panel discussion where we have President, Vice President, as well as the committee members joining us to give and provide you updates on the profession. So I have seen a lot of great questions from the Pigeonhole. So I will be asking these questions to the panelists. We have until we have about 1 hour for the discussion. Before I start asking the questions, I would like to invite first from Puan Saniza, followed by Datuk Zaitun and then Encik Wan Idris, to give a few words to the participants. Over to you, Puan Saniza.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning. Thank you, Rasmimi. I would like to apologize for my sexy voice. Okay, it's been about 1 week plus and my voice have yet to come back to me. All right, okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, thank you for being here together with us on our last town hall today. Okay, as everyone knows, as a vice president, I'm also acting as a chairman of the SMP. Okay, it's quite a bit challenging standing on and holding at the position. But just to recap a few things is that our mission is actually at the SMP is actually to support the SMP, especially all the practitioners, right? With all the, I think, last few months, a lot we have been debating about the audit exemption, right? So a lot of issues been raised, you know. So it's a big task for me, for the SMP, for the PPC, and not to forget for our Mr. Simon here, our ED, to draft the letters. Thanks to you, Simon, for the great work. All right, our committee is actually committed to champion all the priorities and to work tirelessly to support our community. All right, to ensure that the SMP have enough resources, knowledge, and also the regulatory being updated. As we all know, SMP always face the unique challenge, but for staying abreast of regulatory. But this challenge, bear in mind, it's come with all the opportunities. So I hope that all the SMP work together with us, you know, to enhance our profession. That's from me, Rasmimi. Thank you.
Thank you, Puan Saniza. Can I invite Datuk Zaitun?
Thank you, Rasmimi. Assalamualaikum and good morning to everyone. I have a long history of being involved in MIA. Currently, I am chairing the Education Board and I'm also a member of the Professional Accountants and Business Committee, the PIB. And in the context of today's session, I think the focus is more on PIB. And our chairman, Encik Wan Ikram, and the committee, we are committed to basically help to prepare our CFOs and finance functions to live up to the requirements of the competency framework of the CFO and the finance function, which is very much aligned to international standards. And hence you see the comprehensive work done by Simon. The flagship event is always the CFO Circle, and we have many events surrounding that. And really it is competency enhancement because the job of the finance function is continuing to evolve and we need to keep up with the times. So that is the brief of the PIB committee and we are very committed to that. Maybe I can share a bit more during the Q&A. Essentially, as a matter of introduction, that's what I have. Thanks, Rasmini.
Thank you, Datuk Zaitun. And finally, to Encik Wan Idris.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm very Good morning, everybody. This is my first year within the council MIA, and I sit in the public practice committee and insolvency practice committee. Just to echo a few initiative by PPC. The main one was the recent debate on the audit exemptions. We have gone very detailed into the deliberation after SMP's deliberations, and then at the council level also we discussed about this. For all the practitioners, we understand the positions now. Within the practitioners, within the PPC, we have all the representative from big firm, from the smaller firm. So we understand all angle of this impact of this audit exemptions, and we have already submitted, like Puan Saniza said earlier, we have already submitted our basis on all that. I think PPC they have done. I've already involved a few meetings, but looking into what things have been done so far, I think practitioners, we should be happy that something is being done at my level. Before that, I just want to echo a few important things mentioned by Simon earlier on the QAP programs. Moving forward, you need to improve your quality. Practitioners need to improve your qualities. QAP program is one of those programs that you need to embark. I was one of those firm who started with the QAP programs before. Before I come for practice review, all that, it's good to have this QAP so that you understand where your quality is stated. Is it far from MIA standard, or is it below, far below from MIA standard? So I encourage everybody to go into this practice QAP programs. It is 6,000. Last time it was 10,000, and it is the cap. You might have lower than that. I strongly encourage not only the smaller firm, those firms who are not being audited or being under practice review, you should go for this QAP. And another important thing is on the sustainability practitioners. As practitioners, if we continue to have these audit exemptions, we need to move away from our traditional audit. Maybe there's questions on that. We will discuss later. Only that, Rasmini. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Encik Wan. Great to hear all the messages being mentioned by all three representatives from the committees. So now let me start to go into the questions. We have the highest question, 81 votes, but let me keep that first. And I would like to go to the first, the first question is to Datuk Sri Zabidi. In relation to the status of the repeal of the Accountants Act. This is a must question in every town hall that we have. Over to you, Datuk Sri.
Okay, thanks, Rasmini. I think this question has been, during this our second town hall, there is, this question arises from the participant or our members, right? I think on this, right, what I can say that, during those recent DTA also have been, been asking about this, when it will be, tabling at the Parliament accounting. One of the things that my answer is still the same, whereby, the draft of the Accounting Act is in the final stage already, or in the final deliberation at the Jabatan Accountant Negara Technical Committee. And for sure, for members and also the participant that, it will be scheduled to be tabled to the Cabinet next year, inshallah. And we will make sure that we will keep you updated and any further development on this. So that's my answer, still consistent with the previous town hall. Then I think patient with us, inshallah, we will make sure that you always keep updated any latest news on that. Thank you, Rashmi. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Datuk Sri. Now let us move to the question with the highest vote. And the question goes, what are the key areas accountancy professionals should be aware of to be future relevant? And I would like to combine that question to the question to President on his thoughts about the sustainability agenda for the future relevance of the profession. So for this particular question, can I get Datuk Sri to respond first, and then I will invite other panelists to provide feedback on this question. Over to you again, Datuk Sri.
Okay, all right. Okay, that is all my question. Yeah, okay, that's fine. For me, in terms of your first question on what are the key areas accountancy professional should be aware of your future relevant. My answer is whereby the MIA is emphasizing on digital transformation to ensure members are future fits. This is very important. And as workplace become more digital, members should be updated on Gen AI, data analytics and automation, and its impact on the finance and also the accounting. These are discussed at the recent MIA Accounting and Financial Technology 2024 showcase and the Digital Technology Adoption Awards presentation dinner. Members must also know about the e-invoicing, as you aware now, right? And technology solution to prepare for the e-invoicing mandate. That's on the question that first question that Rashmi giving to me. The other question is that on the what are my views or thoughts on the sustainability agenda for future relevance of the professions, right? And for me, I would say that in line with this our nation building purpose, we are advocating for sustainability to drive the future relevance of the profession. Our sustainability agenda is what you call that, a two-pronged approach that advocates sustainability for the institution, for the institute, and also for the accountancy profession in order to be future relevant. Moving forward, I believe that we have to make sure that the accountancy professional understand the sustainability agenda and their role in climate change. And therefore, MAA for sure, we prioritize education and certification to prepare our accountancy professional for sustainability. So I think this is very important for the all accountant to make sure that they are well equipped on this kind of knowledge to make sure that they will be competent and also future level for the industry. Back to you, Rashmi. Thanks.
Thank you, Datuk Sri. Additional comments from our panelists on the question regarding the key areas accountancy professionals should be aware to continue to be relevant.
Okay, Rasmi, if I may add. Right.
Yes, please.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. I think in order for the accountancy professionals to be future relevance, that what I can think of is one is about data analytics. We have been talking about data analytics for quite some time, right? But this is where that we have to learn how to analyze the large volume of data in order to extract the insight that can derive on the decision making. And at the same time, we can develop the skills in data visualization tools in order to present the financial information to the stakeholders. This is how that we can actually prove that the accountancy, that means we are still relevant. The other area that I would like to touch is about the sustainability as well. Datuk Sri is talking about the sustainability, and our moderator here, Puan Rasmimi, is very well known about the sustainability as well. So as accounting professionals, we have to make sure that we are proficient in the sustainability reporting standards and the frameworks, right? We have to understand how to measure and report an ESG metric. This is for the purpose of the stakeholders. When we talk about the accountings, when we about reportings, our concern is always the stakeholders. So for that, I think this is the two areas that the accountancy professionals might have to look about it. That's for me. Rasmimi. Thank you.
Thank you, Puan Saniza. All right. So if there is no more response from the panelists, let me go to the next question. The second highest, I guess. I think there are a lot of votes for this question regarding the e-invoicing implementation. Maybe I just quickly respond to this. So based on our discussion with IRB, there is no yet any exemption given, but you can actually write to IRB. What we are doing from MIA is we are actually a member of the technical working group of Pemuda. Pemuda is a task force where this really to facilitate business together with the government, and for taxation, MIA is part of the taxation technical working group, and e-invoicing is one of the area that we discuss. So far, no exemption given by the authority, but we will continue to engage them in relation to implementation issues, all that. So we do have connection with the officers of the IRB when we have issues. So if you do have issues, please write to us. You can write to us through the email technical@mia.org.my. If you have any questions, so that we can bring it up to the technical working group or any other engagement with the authorities. Alternatively, you can also write to the IRB themselves by emailing myinvoice@hasil.gov.my or sdk myinvoice@hasil.gov.my. So we have been liaising with Dr. Rashida, who is the Director of Operations Policy Section, who is the main person responsible for e-invoicing. So maybe I stop there for the e-invoicing, unless any panelists would like to add to that.
Okay, I think Rashmi, on that, I to add just for the the member information. I think on this meeting with this IRB or LHDN, right side, inshallah by end of this month probably we will have some top level meeting with this just courtesy, and so from this meeting, right, probably one of the things that we can asking about this kind of question that from them. Hopefully, we at the MIA, as you know, that we are really working hard to make sure that whatever that something that very important to our members, right, we will be asking it during those meetings. Inshallah, it will be coming end of this month. Thank you. Rashmi.
Yeah, thank you so much, Datuk Sri, on that. Yeah, so please, if you do have issues, please drop us an email, and perhaps we could, see how we're gonna engage IRB on that. Okay, all right. So let's go with the next to the next question. The one with 63 votes. This is quite question in relation to disciplinary action. So in terms of how MIA needs to address the issue of bogus accountants and price wars. Maybe if I can get Datuk Rezwan to respond.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Assalamualaikum. All right, when I saw this question, I want to take the three keywords from this question. Number one, harsh disciplinary actions. Number two, bad reputation. And number three, bogus accountants. So let me just analyze these three issues to you, so that you clear the perception or your illogical perception, as I would say, comparatively to the other two professional bodies that I was a member before in their investigation committee. Now, the first thing is to see what you meant by harsh. If you see the Accountants Act, Rule 18(3) of the disciplinary rules provides sanctions. All right. And this was actually provided through an AGM. You decided that. All right. And the punishment that is prescribed in 2001 is a fine of 50,000 ringgit. All right. In under normal circumstances in the Act, for offences under the Act, and for offences for unprofessional conduct, a fine not exceeding 5,000 ringgit. All right. Take this very, very seriously. 5,000 ringgit. And you can also be removed or suspended for a period of 3 years. Now, that is what the punishment prescribed under Rule 18(3). Now, assumably, let me take the tendency of all the other professional bodies adopting a 1/3 rule in imposing sanctions. 1/3 rule. So even if I go on suspension, I need to suspend you for 12 months. But what do you see in MIA? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Very serious cases, you have more than 12 months, within 12 to 18 months. Now, I do not understand, why do you say as harsh when in the Bar Council, in the legal profession, Bar Council, or even the medical authority, MMA, even for not having an annual certificate, you're suspended for 1 year. But in my MIA, you practice without a PC, you're given a fine of 2,500 or 3,000 ringgit, despite you had made some tons of money without even having a PC. Would that be considered as harsh? You ask that question to yourself, number one. And comparatively the same. If you see the statistics of cases that comes up, public complaints against members. I'm proud to say, when I came in 2016, 2017, 2018, I had a range of 130 to 150 complaints from the public at large against members. Today, post-MCO, I have hardly 70 to 80 complaints from the members of the public against our members. Comparatively to the statistics at the Bar Council or even MMA, they have almost 500 to 700 cases a year on complaints from the public at large against professionals. So, in a way, if you see whatever action that has been taken by the Institute has contributed to a drastic drop in the number of complaints coming from the public at large. And that is a testimony that the public is manifested by the action that is being taken by the Institute on unprofessional conduct by its members. Despite the fact that the sentences or sanctions imposed by the DC does not coordinate with the 1/3 rule of sanctions that ought to be meted out after a fine of guilt. But as I said, I do not want to question the sanctity of those decisions by the DC. They are at liberty. But a fact remains, as commented by the World Bank and also the Asian Corporate Governance Society, that there cannot be members presiding or adjudicating against members. That is ultra-virus, because to them, that goes against the conflict of governance. Members presiding against members or adjudicating against members. So that is why a recommendation is made under the new Act to have a balance of composition, members and non-members adjudicating offenses of unprofessional conduct. So the first point is, if you say you are harsh, that is just an illogical perception, unsupported or unwarranted by any collaboration. Number two, when you talk about bad reputation. Now, the reputation of a profession depends on the members themselves. The Institute is there as the forefront organization to move whatever activities to ensure that it is properly coordinated in terms of its ethics and the governance. And that is what the Institute has been doing over the years. But if there is any breach of these ethics or morality, then it is the members who ought to blame themselves as to why this goes on from time to time, despite you say that we have taken very harsh actions. So that surprises me. But I can prove it otherwise by the reduction of number of complaints, by the sentences that is, for me, is tremendously low compared to other professional bodies. But nonetheless, there are still areas where we need to improve or enhance. So therefore, I have made this call continuously for the last 7 years that it is the members who need to enhance their reputation. Nobody else can come in to survive you. If you keep on giving oxygen to the non-members outside there to open up companies, to open up businesses, and to render bogus activities, the institution can only do that much within the ambit of the limitations of powers that is given by the Act. I've made this very clear. I can't do more than that. I don't have any executive powers to take them to the court of law. All that I can do is to lodge a police report, refer to them to other regulators. Until the new Act comes, if I am given the powers to take action against non-members, then you will see a different ballgame. But for now, that much we can do within the limitations of the powers given. But the question remains, I can go on stretching my arm as wide as I can, but I cannot condone this illegal activity of boguses until and unless these unscrupulous members, unscrupulous members who go at the expense of the livelihood of the legal ones, you deprive them of their livelihood and coexist with these boguses just for a 30% gain of undone work, the work that you do not do, and yet you claim a 30% term, that you have to ask yourself and improve yourself. So don't keep giving me questions of this nature. How do we enhance? How do we take away the bad reputation? The answer is in you. If you put your shoes down and say that, yes, I'm going to tramp this down, no more for bogus assistance, you will see a tremendous drop in these activities. Because I have constantly tied up with all regulators to ensure that we can take the necessary action against these people. But they can do that much. But if this Grosso keeps on growing like mushroom, then it is you who have to blame yourself rather than blaming others. And the third question, of course, is you talked about bogus. I said, yes, I have taken all the necessary action. We have given all the statistics to MOF to justify why I want the powers to be given to MIA under the new bill for me to take that drastic action against these boguses. It is a growing problem. I have also said this, not only to you, even to the other government regulators, that we are not seeing boguses only within the country today. We are seeing boguses coming from other countries, incorporating companies in Malaysia and offering services, even including audit services to foreign clients, which is definitely ultra-virus, the Companies Act. All right. But as I said, that much of things we can do for non-members, as we are not given the powers under the Accountants Act to take action by ourselves, but we have to solicit with other co-regulators to help us within the limitation of the Accountants Act for now. But inshallah, if the new act comes in, and as requested by us and the CSAP committee, if those powers are given to us, you will see an end to the bogus issue, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Datuk Rizwan, for addressing that question. So we have covered in terms of practice, as well as some on the relevancy of the profession. Let us move to something a bit different. I would like to go to the question with 40 votes, which is on what are the common agenda items at the board meeting nowadays, and how does that impact in terms of the role of CFO, finance function, and auditors? If I could invite Datuk Zaitan first to comment on this.
Thank you, Rasmimi. I will divide my answer into two parts. One is a question of value creation, because at the end of the day, investors will invest in your company not for what you have done before. It is no more about historical financial reporting. It is what you're going to do in future that matters most. And therefore, in the area of value creation, it is not just a question of the people in strategy or business. CFOs, finance functions, plays a very important role. And this is where you are the repository of data. And that data is very important for us to do future scenarios, scenario planning, looking at action plan for the company. I also want to relate a little bit to the question of what are the areas which are relevant to accountants. I didn't come in just now because I want to relate it to what I'm going to say now. Basically, if you look at the question of digitalization as well as sustainability, it is no longer about just awareness. It is how you actually bring this into day-to-day running of the business. I mean, digitalization is a given. For example, if you want to migrate into a system or you want to enhance, upgrade systems, is a huge project. It is not something easy for us to do. I mean, we can talk about data mining, we can talk about artificial intelligence, we can talk about data analytics. But the reality is you cannot do all of that if the data is not even there. And that's why, at a recent conference at MIA, when you talk about auditors doing assurance, before you can do assurance, I think you need to take a step back and see whether our clients are ready. And to see, basically, when you look about, in the area of data governance is very important. I mean, you've heard about greenwashing. And if you're not careful, you base on all this data, which is not even accurate. At the end of the day, you land yourself into greenwashing, which is very difficult to get out once you are in that position. So what is important is, for us on boards, we put a lot of emphasis on making sure that it is structured properly, that we have the right data governance, and you're working on accurate data. And again, there is the role of the accountants. Sustainability to me is something which has become part of life. In the boards I'm on every new decision, every new investment we make, we ask ourselves, what is the impact on the climate risk? What is the impact on the social impact on both our employees as well as the public at large? And we, as accountants, always have to work in the public interest. And also, it is, not just about, making profit anymore. It's the 3 Ps that we all know about. And also the governance at the board level. It is important that we look at the governance. We cannot just assume that we comply with the Bursa, we comply with all the SC requirements and so forth, that we have the governance. Ticking the boxes is easy. Making sure that what is in the boxes is properly implemented within our companies, that's the difficult part. And therefore, we have to reset on how our internal auditors, on how our external assurance providers look at all these areas. So that really is the second part where we are looking at compliance. We are looking at risk management. Now, risk, one of the topmost risks we talk about today is basically cyber security. And it's a constant agenda. Even though if it's not on the agenda for the board meeting, we do talk about it because you have cases like Aruk coming along, and then you start wondering, can it happen to us? And then your management will tell you, probably not, we're not that big for people to target. Don't think like that, because it can happen to anybody. And what is important is to make sure that our companies are good and ready when, if it does happen. We have all these things in our manuals about business continuity planning, BCM, business continuity management. Make sure the management do the trial runs. Make sure that we do all the mock, the drills, all the exercises, to the point that if something does happen, touch wood, you hope it will not happen. But if it does happen, it's second nature to people. They know exactly what to do. And not when the thing happen, only then you start panicking, and then everything helter-skelter. And I must say that listening to experts in this space, if an incident does happen to you, what you do within the first few hours is critical. Because if you make the wrong moves in the first few hours of you discovering the incident, it's going to be very difficult to turn it around after that. So apologies for the long answer. What I'm trying to say is being on the board of companies, even though they may not be public listed, they're still under scrutiny of SSM. It's no longer a walk in the park these days. There's a lot of work. Thank you, Rasmi.
Thank you, Dr. Zaitun. That is really insightful. All right, so we can move to the next question. This is now is on public sector with 34 votes, where in terms of what are the supports that members can expect, members in public sector, in relation to talent development and harmonizing service quality between industry and the public sector. Perhaps I'll invite any panelists first, if you would like to respond to this question. So maybe I share a little bit in terms of MI's work on public sector. Of course, if you see our conferences, trainings, there have been various topics covered on public sector. And in MIA, we do believe the accountants in public sector are quite similar to the accountants, to the professional accountants in business in many ways, in finance function, CFOs, right? But of course, the environment that they are working in is in a public sector environment. So there would be some unique or specific situations there. So yes, a lot of the trainings there are also available to the public sector members. In addition to that, we also have established the Public Sector Accounting Committee, PSAC, that was established quite a while ago, back in 2012, where we support the government in relation to the implementation of the accrual accounting in Malaysia, in particular MPSAS. And as the role of PSAC expands, we have also looked at the area of public financial management. So you have seen some of our events relate to PFM rather than only focusing on public sector accounting standards. So for example, recently we had the webinar on Public Finance and Fiscal Responsibility Act and how public sector accountants are affected by that act. And at the MI conference in June, we do have sessions on public sector specific as well. So those are some of the supports that we are extending to our public sector members. Right.
If I can add a bit.
Yes, please, Simon.
Yeah. Okay. So on the public sector space, as Rasmi rightly mentioned, the public sector actually also, under the definition of in the ethics code, is actually part of professional accountants in business. So actually, it is for the public sector, as you look at the competency framework for CFOs and finance function, we did also mention that these are for PIEs. So some of the public sector entities could be PIEs, or generally could be used as a guide for other entities. So when we address the roles of CFOs, finance function, in a sense, we are also addressing those who are in the public sector. And some of the initiatives that we have also done recently because of the sustainability, enhanced disclosures in terms of the non-financials. For example, integrated reporting is an area that we have also done outreach to the public sector, and we have also advocated applying integrated thinking and reporting in the public sector space, right? So we have seen there's heightened increased interest in actually applying integrated reporting in the public sector. And also, in addition to that, we also had a program on aspiring CFOs, which was attended by both those in the public sector and also in the private sector. So these are some of the initiatives that we are already doing ongoing for those in the public sector. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thanks, Simon. I would like to go back to the practice matters. The question with 55 votes. With recent and ongoing revision to regulations and standards, how would audit firm sustain its practice? And I would like to ask this question to Encik Wan Idris, being a practitioner here.
All right. This is a good question, because I could have asked the same questions if I'm on the other side. I'm not being the panelist. These questions have been there for sometimes for all practitioners, whether it's small or mid-sized firms. First, we must understand the ongoing revisions and regulations and the standards. If we talk about standards, we are quite lucky because MFRS and MPERS, we can control the adoption of this all the standards under MFRS or MPERS or for the government and PISA, because they give certain years, maybe 3 years before they come up with new regulations, the new standards. But maybe what worries us as practitioners is ongoing regulations, especially on ISAs. Just this morning, Simon was talking about revision on the ISA 600, and a few more regulations that we need to idea with, especially new one on the sustainability standards and all that. How do we cope with all this in practice? The main things that everybody need to understand, everybody, I encourage everybody for our practice to sustain. You must look into your quality management of the firm. You must look into the quality management of the firm. I'm not saying on looking into ISQM 1, 2, 3, all that. No? I'm looking back into your setup. Where the most important thing is your human resource. This is what I take up from our own experience. One is to look into your human resource, because to keep up these changes in the regulatories and standards, you must have, or you need at least sound technical person within your firm. If you can't do that within your firm, then you start looking collaboration with other firms who might need, who might share the same issues with you. In this, again, other than this, looking into your staff requirement or your professional requirement in your firm, you need to leverage the technology as well. I found out over the years, if you don't follow with the technologies, meaning that like in audit, you have certain softwares you can use to speed up your deliveries, all that. No, so you must leverage on the technology like what we have now. We have e-confirm, we have e-confirm. That one is also something that can sustain us because it will reduce our cost, it will reduce our delivery time, and all that. Apart from this, leveraging on the technologies, I would like to mention also about educate your own clients. Clients education is important, and I mentioned earlier, investing in your talent and expertise is very, very important. I know that MIA has been advocating for mergers and acquisition between the members. Even MIA have a website or collaboration for this merger and acquisition. But as practitioners, I don't think my views is that it's not easy to come up and merge, even though we want to share same resources, because especially for those who are in business more than maybe 20 years, it's not easy for them to merge because different culture, different setup, different visions and missions altogether. So, but then again, you must to sustain, you must improve your quality. That's I think the main take up for practitioners. Apart from that, maybe as alternative, whatever you have done now with the current regulation and all that, we must move from the audit. No, we can go for what we normally refer as agreed upon procedures engagement. No, I think with the coming of this audit exemption, everybody understand that. No? We are fighting that it will not happen in the near future, but it will come. It will come. Even if it does not, even the threshold will be reduced as per MIA's suggestion. But the fact that audit exemption will come in future, we need as practitioners to sustain us. You need to start going into fields that rare for us, for some of us. Upon procedures engagement, some of these, from my experience, you may offer, inventories, stock takes for bigger clients, maybe cash count for the banks, surprise cash count for the banks. We have done that before because they appoint another third party to do that for you, and you tailor-made your own resources, your own strength, your own size, your own firm size to suit whatever you do. Overall, as practitioners, I advise everybody to really look back into our staff, really look back into our quality management, then re-segmentize whatever that we have, so that you can sustain, you can manage your cost, you can manage your client, and you can manage, most importantly, you can manage your quality. That's all from me, Rasmini.
Okay, thank you so much, Encik Wan Idris, for the sharing. Of course, this is coming from a fellow practitioner. So hopefully this is beneficial to the participants. I saw a question on DTAA. If I can just address that briefly before I go to the sustainability assurance as the last question. So the DTA dinner has happened successfully. So we have winners of the DTAA, and we also have received some questions even from the attendees asking us when would we organize DTAA again. So what I can share with you at the moment is we may be looking at a submission late 2025 or early 2026. So that will give you some time to look at your implementation and also then also see the impact of your technology implementation, because that are the main things that we measure for DTAA. Now, let me go back to the question on sustainability assurance as the last question, and I would like to address this to Simon. The one
Thank you,
with
Rasmini.
25 votes.
Yeah, bring out the question. Okay, for sustainability assurance, how can there be a level playing field when other practitioners are not being subject to surveillance? All right, okay, so this is, I think, a common concern by accountants, because you have to invest into quality management, to apply the ISQM, and also to comply with ethics requirements, which also require some adjustments in your firm, right? And while non-professionals are doing assurance, the standard requires them to have ethics standards at least as demanding, and also having a quality management standards at least as demanding as the ISQM. So the question is, how do they implement that, right? So I think that thereby raises the question of level playing field. So even if they assert that they have done it, right? The next question is whether is there a surveillance function that is handling, for example, if there are complaints against the quality of the work, who do they look to, right? For MIA, we actually have a very elaborate, very proper process where people can actually complain, bring an action against, raise a complaint against an MI member. So therefore, in our comment letters to both to the IAASB and IESBA, the Ethics Standards Board, International Ethics Standards Board. Also, we raised those concerns. And there was recently a consultation by the Securities Commission in relation to sustainability reporting, and they asked whether should there be a license for sustainability assurance providers. And in our response letter, we mentioned that yes, we are definitely in favor of that, because to make it, there should be a level for it to be, to address the level playing field issue. But of course, with the overall goal that there should be quality, that is consistent quality being provided by assurance service providers. So we did also mention that there are challenges that will be that all these non-accounting firms, professionals, and thus assertions, they need to, there's a certain hurdle that they need to pass through in order to be able to then assert that they have complied with. And also, we did emphasize to the SC that there needs to be a surveillance function, and also a repository or function that can and also address complaints against these professionals. So definitely, this area has been taken up by the institute, and we definitely are engaging with both the regulators and the standard setters in terms of this particular matter. So I also want to mention that we also addressed the last question. I think there was another question at the bottom that asked about license. Should there be a license? So I think we cover both these questions.
Simon, can I chip in and
yes,
try
okay.
In the area of sustainability assurance, when you look at areas like, for example, net zero, climate risk, actually the skill set required is more than just accounting skill set. You actually need engineers, you need scientists who are proficient in this area. And therefore, I would recommend that you either employ them. I mean, nowadays you have accounting firms, just like back. We no longer just employ accountants. We also have to employ people with different expertise. Like, for example, engineering, scientists, all this. You either employ them or you can engage them on a contract to be part of your firm, so that you actually beef up your internal resources for you to be looking at these areas. And it is important for us accountants, accounting firms to beef up this skill. Otherwise, you find that the area of assurance will be very much encroached by other sort of assurance providers. But the problem with those assurance providers, they don't have an MIA to regulate them, right? So in terms of the standards and so forth, I think, although they may charge maybe less than what the established firms are charging, but still there is no proper regulation around them. So I think where it comes to the clients, they do appreciate that if they engage MIA regulated firms, they have a better standard because it is regulated and there are standards to be adhered to. But you need to demonstrate that you have the right skill sets in order to do proper assurance for them, because they are also under scrutiny by the world at large and by the investors. So my recommendation is to look at the skill sets required. And if it is more than just accountants, there are many ways you can collaborate, you can, employ, and you can also engage them maybe on contract to assist your team in looking at the technical areas. Thanks.
Thank you, Dato'. Very spot on, because the standards are also took into account of this, the need to use experts, because not everyone will be, may not be, but the overall, the collective team will need to be able to have the skill sets and the expertise to assert on it, and that's also there in the ethics code, right? So it is being addressed in the standard, the use of the word expert.
All right, thanks Simon and Dr. Zaitun for responding to that question. That's all the time that we have for the panel discussion. Thank you so much to the participants for all the questions and definitely the good responses from all our panelists. I pass it back to you, Yan. Thank you.
Thank you to all the panelists. That was a very informative session, and I hope everyone benefited from this town hall. Before we end our session today, let us invite Yang Berbahagia Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Zabidi once again for the closing remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Zainal. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of our town hall. On behalf of the Institute, thank you once again for the participating in the third town hall for MIA this year. I hope that you had a productive session and that you have a better understanding of the Institute initiative for strengthening professional practices and technical to achieve the future relevance of the profession. This town hall also demonstrated the importance of the strategic collaboration approach to enabling future fitness, agility, and resilience of our members. As you can see, MIA work closely together with local and global stakeholders to strengthen our regulatory and development effort in today's complex regulatory landscape. We also appreciated the question from members and sharing our views, which will help to improve our works. We will take your feedback into consideration for the benefits of members and our stakeholders. Till next time, thank you once again for attending this third town hall, and I hope to see you again. Thanks. Back to you, MC. Thank you.
Thank you, Datuk Sri. For more news and updates on MIA as well as upcoming webinars, stay connected through our website and social media page, or you may log in into your members portal for more information. Before you go, we would like to remind you again that participants will be awarded with 2 CPE credit hours upon strict compliance of the following terms. Participants must remain logged in and attend the session from the beginning till the end. And participants must complete and submit the feedback form by using the SurveyMonkey platform within 3 days of the session. Late submission of the feedback form will not be entertained. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the town hall. On behalf of the Institute, I would like to thank all of you for attending the BMIA Town Hall 2023-2024 final session today. Hope to see you again in the future. Have a productive day ahead. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, all attendees. Thank you, everyone.
Salam. Thank
Everyone.
you.